In the measurement strand of the standards of learning, students encounter conversion of units in grade 4 and then again in grade 6. In grade 6, students are expected to be able to make conversions within the systems. Within the U.S. customary system, they should be able to go from pounds, ounces, or feet, inches. And within the metric system, they should be able to go from meters to centimeters, millimeters to centimeters, and so forth. At no point are 6th graders expected to convert between the two systems. However, they are expected to be able to make ballpark comparisons between the two systems using benchmarks that are outlined in the curriculum framework. Of all the conversions that 6th graders should be able to do, the most problematic seems to be converting square units. I believe this is because students in 6th grade really don't have a good picture of what these square units look like. So I suggest the following activity. Put your students in groups and give each group a piece of paper that will cover 1 square foot of area. Don't tell the students that, though. And ask them to tell you some things about that sheet of paper. Groups will tell you it's a square, and if they have rulers, they should be able to measure the sides and tell you that it is indeed 1 foot on each side, hence the name 1 square foot. Then give each group several sheets of 1-inch grid paper and have them cut the little squares out. At this point, it's not necessary to let them know that those are it's 1-inch grid paper. We just have a bunch of little squares. Before the students do anything with these little squares, ask them as a group to come to a consensus and give you an estimate of how many of these little squares should cover the square foot. Have them record this number for later use. Once they've recorded the number and they've made their estimate, now ask the students to convince you and themselves that their estimate is either correct or incorrect. Each group may take a different tactic. Some groups may know that 144 square inches covers 1 square foot, and therefore they can go on to some other questions, while other groups may be taking their time in trying to figure out the answer, and they may be actually laying down the small squares to cover the square foot. Some groups will just go this far, laying out 12 squares across the top and 12 down the side, and know that this is an array, a 12 by 12, so that there are 12 times 12, or 144 little squares that will cover this sheet. However, you will have some groups of 6th graders who still need to play out each individual square. Please let those groups continue. The students need to convince themselves that the correct answer of 144 of these little squares covers the 1 square foot. Once all the groups have come to an agreement that it's 144 of the little squares, question them about the size of the little square. They'll measure it, and you'll come to the agreement that we can call this 1 square inch because it is a square 1 inch on each side. So now the students know that 144 square inches is the equivalent of 1 square foot. From here, you can just move on. If 144 square inches cover 1 square foot, how many square inches would you need to cover 3 square feet? 5 square feet? Once the students have figured out that you just multiplied by 144, you may want to ask them questions such as, well, now I have X number of square inches. How many square feet will that cover? The students will realize that now we need to do division by 144. I think having the students actually work with the units, being able to touch them, feel them, and see the process for themselves will help make square unit conversion a lot less problematic for our 6th graders.